Thanks for checking out Chamber Web TV. This is Cambridge Votes 2014, a conversation with the candidates for the October 27th municipal election. I'm Brian Butcher, I'm Vice President of the Chamber, and it's my pleasure to sit down right now with Paul Brown, a candidate in Ward 4. Paul?
Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure.
So, you're off and running. The
Off and
lists
running.
are done. You've got 6 people running in your ward.
That's right.
Are you having fun yet?
I'm loving it. I
Right.
really am. The people I've met through this whole process to this point have just been an enrichment.
Yeah, great. That's good. All learning experience.
Absolutely a learning experience.
What, about 6 weeks to go?
Roughly,
Run,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, then tell me, why are you running?
Why am I running? Well, I've always taken a keen interest in municipal politics. And when Ben Tucci decided he wasn't going to run for our ward anymore, I thought about it for a while, and I thought this is a good time to get involved. My family's always instilled in me a sense of community and the importance to give back to community, and I want to carry on that tradition. And I thought when Ben left, this is a chance to represent my ward and to carry on his legacy, as it were, in that ward.
Yeah.
He was always a strong voice for Ward 4, and I think Ward 4 needs that.
Yeah. You mentioned family. Your dad was a counselor.
My dad was a
One
counselor
time, so you have
in
some
the
idea what you're in
mid-90s.
for.
That's right, and he was also the retired fire chief in Cambridge.
Right. Okay, so what do you see as the single biggest issue facing Cambridge and, in fact, municipalities across Ontario?
That's a good question, because I think each individual community has different issues. But the one thing I think that carries on through every community is finances. It's very difficult to run a corporation of this size, and that's basically what the city is a corporation. And it's nice to have ideas that are grandiose, but sometimes it's just not possible. And we have to, as all municipalities do, is we have to have fiscal responsibility.
Sure.
And I think when you look across the province and you look at different communities and you see that some are struggling with finances and some are doing quite well with their finances, that's what it really comes down to, is the fiscal responsibility of the corporate team.
Yeah, if they can do it, why can't we? Kind of
Sure,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and then you've been out knocking on doors, I presume.
I have.
You've been talking to people in your ward, as you
Absolutely.
say. What's the biggest issue in Ward 4?
There's a lot of issues in Ward 4 that kind of interconnect, but the biggest issue is with downtown. We have a lot of issues that affect downtown. Number one is traffic. Of course, downtown Cambridge is a commuter core, and that presents in and of itself a lot of problems. With the amount of commuter traffic that goes through downtown Cambridge, it really isn't a pedestrian-friendly area. And the city is now trying to make it more pedestrian-friendly, wider sidewalks, more benches, trees. But unfortunately, they're taking away from parking. And we need parking because people aren't going to go downtown if there's no place to park. And they're not going to walk 3 blocks to do it, unfortunately. So that raises another concern. I like the proposal of going back to one-way traffic on Water and Ainslie. Right now, the way the roads are laid out, I don't think they make sense. If you're heading northbound on Water, you have to turn right on Simcoe back to Ainslie to continue northbound. So until we have a more viable solution for traffic, such as an Eastern Ring Road, a commuter bypass that'll hook up with Town Line or something like that, we have to improve traffic flow. And the way to do that is to go back to one-way traffic. That'll also give an opportunity to put in more parking spaces downtown. What that will do is increase the amount of foot traffic down there, and it'll help out the businesses. We're just losing too many businesses downtown.
Yeah. Okay, so what about the Chamber's always pushing for big, bold ideas? And I'm just wondering, as a candidate, do you have any big, bold ideas that you'd like to see put forward?
I would love to sit here and tell you I'd like to build a couple of recreation centers, but right now it's just not feasible. Big, bold ideas are great when the finances are sound. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get involved, bring our finances back, pay off our debt, increase our reserve funds so that when we have an opportunity to build these nice, big, shiny things, we can pay for it with cash. We don't have to go into debt. I want to run the city the way I run the household, and that's debt-free.
Yeah, I'd like to do that in my household too.
Absolutely.
What a novel thought. What a novel thought. Speaking of big, bold ideas, you may or may not know the Chamber was opposed to the LRT.
Yes.
However, well, the main reason, of course, was because we felt that Cambridge shouldn't be paying for something it's not, in fact, getting. But that battle has been waged and lost, and LRT is on its way. So now I guess the conversation here is around, are there new ideas, out of the box thinking? Is there a way that we can accelerate the progress of LRT in Cambridge? Because it looks like a long, long way off for us. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts, do you have some thoughts in that area?
I do. I think, it is what it is. We have the LRT now. I was opposed to it in the beginning as well. And I think what we need to do to get it to the point where we can expand it to Cambridge is we have to go back to the federal government. We have to go back to the provincial government, beg for funding again. But out of the box thinking, I'd like to see some corporate partners in this. It would be nice to see corporate partnerships. And one way we have to approach this with the region, because we are outvoted at the region,
Yeah.
we have to make Kitchener and Waterloo believe it's in their best interest for us to finish that link to Cambridge. And it really is. The bottleneck of traffic crossing the Grand River is worse every year. They make the roads wider, they put new roads in, and it's just not helping. So it's in
like
their...
having a bigger garage, the bigger you make it, the more you fill it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we have to make them aware of how this will affect their business plans as well.
Yeah, yeah, good. Along a similar vein, Cambridge has been fighting for Go to Cambridge for decades. Kitchener has Go one train out in the morning and one train back at night, but they've been promised by the province now that they will have two-way all-day Go service. The Cambridge route, it's a different route entirely to Toronto, but the Cambridge route that's been proposed again for a long time is a much less expensive route to build or to bring up to date, and we're just wondering what you feel about Go service for Cambridge.
I would love to see full-time Go service to Cambridge, and I think it's within our grasp. I really do. Anytime you introduce a new commuter corridor to a municipality, you're going to see growth. And we've already got the growth. And I think what we need to do is we need to plan for the inevitable fact we will get Go service. We're just too viable of an option for them to overlook. So with that in mind, we have to plan where we're going to have that Go service and start planning our community towards that.
Do you have thoughts on where that should be? Like, are you talking about the hub?
The hub.
The Go hub?
The hub. I do. I would like to see it, obviously, in the 401 area, the 401 corridor. We have lots of land available to us in that area that can be used as parking, carpool lanes that can access that hub. This is the type of thing we need to start thinking about.
Yeah, those are long-term plannings.
That's right.
Where do you see Cambridge in 25 years?
Prosperous, I think. We have a lot of people that are starting to get involved in municipal politics that are very forward-thinking. I like the fact that already in Cambridge we're starting to see the city develop more towards the urban model as opposed to the suburban model. And that being newer stores along, if we take Hesper Road as an example, the stores are starting to move in closer to the street, the parking in behind. This makes it a lot more pedestrian friendly for one, and I think that's going to be the route that we're going to see and progress to. And I like that idea. That lends itself towards intensification of the cores, of the commuter cores, residential and commercial intensification, and that's where I see Cambridge heading.
Yeah, you don't want to get off the train in the middle of Hesper Road and have it take you an hour and a half to get to the front of the mall because you've got to go through all that parking.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're almost done here, Paul. For the first time, Cambridge is going to allow online and telephone voting this year. It's a new thing. It's 2014 and probably high time. We are the only community in the region to be doing that, but it's not a new thing. There are other communities that have done that with great success. Promises to raise the voter participation significantly, and that's been the experience in other areas. And I would suggest also promises to raise the participation of the younger crowd, who are used to pulling out their phone to do things, and they can go online on their phone and cast their ballot. I'm hoping that it also inspires conversation among that group about the upcoming election, maybe a little excitement around the fact they can vote that way, and maybe actual conversation about the candidates, because I think if you're going to cast your ballot, you should have a pretty good idea what the candidates stand for, hopefully. It should be a knowledgeable vote. I'm just wondering, are you comfortable with the online and telephone voting that's coming, or how do you feel about it?
I love it. I think it's time that we get involved in it. There's a lot of people that are concerned about voter fraud, but you're going to have voter fraud. Everybody's going to try and get an extra vote in there somehow. That's just the nature of the beast. We've had it for years with ballot voting. We just have to make sure our security is tight enough to handle that, and I think it is. I agree with you. I think it's going to stimulate the younger people to vote and to get more involved. And I've even heard talk of having voting parties where people are going to get together, discuss the issues before they all get on their
Wouldn't that be
smartphones.
cool? That's
and
great.
vote. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see that. Well, before we sign off, do you want to say a few words to the voters in Ward 4?
Sure, absolutely. What I'd like to say to the voters of Ward 4 is that I'm very pragmatic in my thinking. I think that in order to get Cambridge on the right foot, we have to start with fiscal responsibility. What I'm proposing is limiting the amount of large-scale projects that the city undertakes until such time that we have the physical resources to do it. I'm not saying let's put off infrastructure and the things that need to be done. What I'm saying is we can't afford right now to build a nice multi-level rec center, and that's where I'm going with that. Also, the only other promise I have for the people of Ward 4 is that every 3 to 4 months, if I'm elected, I will have open town hall meetings for the constituents to come and talk to me directly about the issues. If you can't make it to the town hall meetings, obviously, I will be available by email or by phone at any time.
Okay, so just a reminder, folks, that the election is on October 27th, but that's the day you actually can walk to the poll and sign the paper ballot. Between October 11th and 25th, for the first time again, you can go online or by telephone. All you need is your voter card and the number that comes on that, and you'll be able to cast your ballot in your underwear if you feel like it. It's most important that you remember, please, this is your responsibility, do vote. Thank you, Paul. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Brian.
you coming
It
up
was
and
a
spending
pleasure.
the time. Good luck.
Thank you.